Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. It's been a while. I was so busy that I couldn't find any time to do any video. So I've been living in Canada for about 6 months now. Living abroad has helped widen my view significantly, at least in the conventional reality. It's also helped dismantle many of my biases, stereotypes, and prejudices. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what I've learned in the last 6 months of living in Canada. The first lesson is that the adaptation process is not similar for everybody. There were lots of changes that we needed to adapt at the beginning, both physically and mentally, and it doesn't look the same for everybody. For example, when we landed in Canada in the middle of winter, I got the problems with my skin, but my husband never experienced that. My skin was cracking and bleeding. It was painful. Luckily, my body gradually adjusted and found ways to adapt to the cold. I also had a very bad stomachache, which I had never ever experienced before. It happened every single week during the first 2 to 3 months of my first semester. It's a physical problem, but it was manifested from a mental problem. When I started the first semester of my graduate program, there was lots of new things that I need to learn in a very short time, including many academic reading, academic writing, dealing with my professor and my classmates, language barriers, and so on and so forth. I think I was working too hard at that time, and I didn't rest enough. Fortunately, I asked for help. I met a nurse in my school. The lady was super gentle and understanding. She knew that my stomach pain was due to my changing schedule and the stress of living in a new country. Actually, I knew my problems before meeting her, but somehow her words were so soothing and healing to me at that time. Now, I could figure out better ways to balance my life. I can better craft time for studying, for working part-time, for family time, for me time, and the pain has just gone away naturally. I didn't take any pill. My takeaway from this experience is listening to my body and letting it rest when needed. It's okay not to figure out everything right now. Don't rush the process. I can continue struggling tomorrow anyway. Just be brave enough to stop, to rest, and to preserve my sanity. It's hard to stop in a Russian culture, but it's worth it. The second lesson I've learned is that every country has its advantages and its challenges. A few years ago, I used to glamorize Western country when I had opportunity to visit Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. At the same time, I was complaining about my home country, Vietnam. I complained about the government, about the prevalent corruption, and stuff like that. But now I think I have a fair view from both sides. Each country has its advantages and disadvantages. Canada, just like other Western countries, I guess, has a culture of being nice. It's normal to ask a stranger, "How are you today? How are you doing?" It feels good if people genuinely want to hear the answer. But there's also a flip side of that when people just act out of their habits rather than their genuine care. I've also seen other challenges of this Western country. For example, Canada has a painful history of mistreating the indigenous. For my friends who are not living in Canada, the indigenous are those people who had lived here for a long time before the European came and colonized. Although the governments and other social organizations have paid more attention to the issue and they promote those programs such as reconciliation, EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion, the reality is still far more challenging. The indigenous people still find themselves being discriminated against in many contexts. On the other side, I also started realizing the beautiful aspect of Vietnamese culture. For example, Vietnamese food is considered delicious by many Westerners, or Vietnam also have a long history of practicing Buddhism and mindfulness, which have just been brought to the West in the recent years, and they really appreciate the benefits of mindfulness. The third lesson that I learned is to explore and transform my unconscious insecurity. And this is a very deep topic. But if you watch until this point, I hope you continue exploring this point with me. At first, I was so insecure in a social context. Speaking in classes is one of them. Sometimes I caught myself thinking, I'm just a little girl, a lady from a developing Asian country. So sometimes I was also a victim of the collective mind that only focuses on the economic part or the financial part of a country. But you cannot judge a country by how well it makes money, can you? But when I was not mindful, I was caught up in those thoughts and the insecurity just intensified. So I met those who kind of disregarded me or belittled my character. At the same time, I also met those who validated my ideas. So out of the pain of being belittled, I was feeling so good when having someone validate my ideas. And then I was addicted to the pleasure of their validations. I somehow identify my ideas with myself so that I can feel valued. And I was unconsciously seeking that pleasure. And it was so addictive. And that was toxic. At the same time, I lost the ability to reassure myself. Now, when shedding light on those reactions, I could see that my ego was silently creeping into the interaction. The truth is, an idea is just an idea. I don't need to identify myself with an idea. I don't need to put the ego in it. If the idea reflects the truth, then that is a good idea that we need to go for. And the truth is just the truth. It doesn't belong to anyone. I can say the truth belongs to all of us. So the truth is not mine. I need to practice to be aware of my ego and let go. And also, working in a diverse team, I could say that everybody has some good ideas to contribute to the projects, no matter where we came from. We benefit a lot from exploring complex issues together and seeing things from different angles. So please don't get me wrong. It's fine to have some validation sometimes, but it should be in moderation. And I should be aware of my ego, and I shouldn't seek pleasure just to run away from my insecurity. Recently, I've just received some positive feedback from my professor regarding my participation in class discussions. But it's only happened when I realized I don't need to yearn for external validation anymore. Additionally, there is a stereotype saying that Asians are not good at being leaders. As a person who studied leadership and interacting with my peers who came from different cultures, I can tell you that that notion is totally crap. Cast away that stereotype. Leadership doesn't have anything to do with race, nor with title and ranks. Indeed, leadership is for everyone if we know how to cultivate it every day, starting from self-awareness. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again very soon. May mindfulness be with you. Namaste.